You are now tuned into Shotgun Sports USA. Powered by Winchester. Recorded in the U.S. and streaming all over the world. We talk to shotgun shooters from all disciplines, championship-winning coaches, gun clubs, world-class target setters, vendors, and industry-leading companies that fuel the sport. If you are into clay target sports, you are at the right place for insider information from some of the best in the world every single week. Remember to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and connect with us on social media. You can also catch our episodes on shotgunsportsusa.com. Being a brand name in the clay target industry, Rick Hemingway has said, "Have you ever noticed almost all major sporting events are being run by Pro-Matic traps?" Think about that statement for a minute. He's right, and you may want to consider that before making your next purchase. Rick is the largest Pro-Matic dealer specializing in individual and commercial trap sales. Rick provides skeet, trap, 5-stand, and sporting clays, designs, installs, and service. He also offers accessories such as solar panels, wireless release systems, as well as the hottest item on the market, the Claybot by Renair Products. Visit www.backwoodsquailclub.com or give him a call at 843-546-1466. The Double D Foundation, launched by Daniel Defense Executive Vice President Cindy Daniel, is a product of a vision. Like all charitable organizations, the Double D Foundation has a purpose: to protect the Second Amendment by growing the number of Americans involved in shooting sports who understand the fundamentals of firearm safety and who share the core belief that the Second Amendment defends the rest. For more information, visit thedoubledfoundation.org. Castellani shooting vests are manufactured in Italy and internationally recognized by elite shooters as the most popular, lightweight shooting vests on the market. Castellani vests are especially known for their Italian styling and superior craftsmanship and quality, making them a vest of choice for all shooting disciplines. Ultimate Shooting Accessories is the exclusive supplier of Castellani vests in the United States. Visit ultimateshootingaccessories.com for more information and to place your order.
I would like to start this episode out just a little different than I normally do and tell you a little bit about Joe Fanizzi before I bring him on with me. He's an 18-year-old soon-to-be freshman in college at Texas A&am University. After being born and raised on a hunting preserve and shooting ground in Florida, Joe was introduced to clay shooting at a young age. At the age of 13, he punched in a master class and he won his first high overall main event shortly after that at the age of 14. Joe attributes most of his success to being surrounded by so many great people, influencers, role models, and mentors that took him under his wing and made him into the person he is today. In 2019, he was a silver medalist at the World English Sporting Clays Championship. While he was excited to have made a podium finish at the World Championship at just the age of 16, he was also motivated and had a chip on his shoulder to work harder because he had been so close to achieving a life goal but was just short. Just weeks ago at the 2021 World FITASC Championship, Joe had the honor of representing NSCA's Team USA in Hungary. After 4 days of competition, Joe finished silver medalist once again at a world event, just a target shy of where he needed to be to bring home the gold medal and a world championship title. Joe believes the final result of this bittersweet outcome will make him a stronger individual and a better competitor in years to come. In this episode, Joe reveals his story and life timeline of what turned him into who he is today and how he will approach this upcoming chapter of his life and the new beginnings. As Joe embarks on this next chapter, he shares how he's looking forward to continuing his passion of clay target shooting and that the best is yet to come. Joe makes clear that at the end of the day, his main goal in shooting, when it's all said and done, is to be remembered as a respectable person with good character, because that means more to him than any title achieved or accomplishment reached. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest to the show, Joe Fanizzi. Have Joe Fanizzi sitting here with me in person. I've always done podcasts with Joe over the telephone, so this is a good change. Joe, I appreciate you being here today, and I kind of want to do something different. I don't want to talk about your gun. I don't want to talk about your shells. I don't care about all that. What I want to talk about is you and how you got to where you are, and who helped you do that, and the people that were involved with starting your career and getting you to where you are today. I think that's a great story, so that's what I want to talk about.
First of all, Mr. Justin, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with you, and I'm really excited, always excited to come on your podcast. You do a great job, but especially to be with you in person, it's a big deal, so really excited and looking forward to everything today. Shooting clay targets, it is a true passion of mine, and I really love it. And, growing up, a lot of people know I grew up in a small town called Okeechobee, Florida, and my parents had a position running a large outfit down there for many, many years. And one of the venues that Quail Creek offered was sporting clays. And it was something that I always kind of did when I was younger and, 6, 7, 8 years old. I would shoot a little bit. And, my parents introduced me to clay target shooting, but it was never something that they forced me into or said, we want you to be a clay target shooter. They just kind of let me figure it out for myself. And, as years went on, I really found a true passion for it. And I have been, blessed to find some success here the last couple of years and shoot at a pretty high level. And a lot of people ask me how I got there, and I always say that I get more credit than I deserve. And I was so blessed, so blessed to just have so many great resources and have so much great access to not only good places to be able to go out and shoot and pull the trigger down in the South Florida area and have clubs to go shoot, but mainly just the people and being surrounded at such a young age by so many people that were not only great shots themselves and great instructors, but more so just kind of took me under their wing and mentored me and exposed me to the game itself, and that's how I just fell in love with it. And a lot of people may say, Joe just grew up at a place where he had a sporting clays in his backyard, and all he does is shoot, and that's why he's been able to become pretty good. And I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, there's definitely that plays a large role in it. There's absolutely no question that I had an advantage and was very, very lucky to have a place in my backyard to be able to go shoot all the time. And if I didn't go shoot there, I'd be able to go 30 minutes down the road and shoot somewhere else, and shoot somewhere else, and shoot somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I truly ended up having a passion for it. And even though you might have everything you need to be successful and have the best equipment and the best help and the best opportunity, you still have to really love something in order to work hard at it. And I definitely have worked hard at it, and I've invested a lot about shooting, and I care a lot about it. So that's just kind of my story about how I got started. Fell in love with it and always kind of did it. Still played different sports. I played football, I played basketball, played a little bit of baseball. And once I realized I did have a really good chance to progress in shooting, I made the sacrifice of stopping other sports because I figured I could have a better opportunity in the long run with competing at a high level in shooting versus those other games and sports.
Well, you play in sports like that, you don't have a lot of time you need to pick one.
That's right.
That you like.
I'm a firm believer in that. Absolutely.
So you have to pick one if you really want to be good at it. I don't think now you've got a friend of yours that's really good at all of them.
That's right.
And you said he was drafted 30 overall.
Yes.
in the Major League Draft. I mean, that's impressive. And he played all the sports.
That's right. Football, basketball, and baseball.
But you have those select few that can do that.
That's right.
So, I have to pick one thing and stick to it to hope I get good at it. You can pick one thing and be good at it. So that's what's neat about what you've done. You've become a great shooter by putting your whole heart, everything that you do into it, and
that's true.
That's where you're at.
I definitely have, been dedicated and made sacrifices for it and worked really hard at it, and that's part of it. Like I said, I did have a great opportunity, had a great place to be able to train and practice as much as I wanted to, but if you don't really truly love something and have a heart for it and have a passion for it, what's going to make you get up early in the mornings and late at night to go out and improve on it, and miss out on other things because you have a burning desire to be so good at one thing.
Everyone that's met Joe, he's always been a polite kid. I call you kid.
I still am definitely a kid. I just turned 18.
He's always polite, and that's partly because of the people you grew up around.
That's right.
You didn't grow up around a whole lot of kids in shooting sports.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you were you shot with kids, but the people you grew up with were adults. And like you said, we were talking earlier, they were 50 and 60 years old.
No, there's no question about it. I'm an only child. My parents are Fred and Maria Fanizzi, and like I said, where they were at Quail Creek, for so long, they're the people that would go out to that place and have experiences. A lot of times they were, especially on the hunting side of things and shooting shotguns and all that, they were, professionals that have been there and done that and in their own field. They might have been doctors, they might have been lawyers, they might have been, who knows, any job or profession or occupation. And, me being by myself, I'm 30 minutes from town, 45 minutes from town. So a lot of kids, when they'd be able to go, let's go to the movies and hang out tonight. Let's go, here and go do this. There's a lot of times I would just stay back at home because it was close, and home was there at, the ranch at Quail Creek. So I was able to be exposed to so many people that were experienced and older at such a young age. I'd be sitting around a campfire listening to people talk about their lives at 6, 7, 8 years old. And being around those people, some of my closest friends to this day are, who knows, maybe 5, 6 times my age. And that's just kind of forced me to mature at a young age and, really not have a choice, because I was just in an environment of people well beyond my years. But I feel like that, made a positive impact on me in the long run. And it's something that I will always be appreciative of and always be thankful for. And something that I look back on and I really am appreciative that it's helped me, build my character and become a good person. And that's really what I'm worried about in the long run.
Yeah, that's the most important part. When did you realize that this was really something you wanted to do? How old were you? Do you remember?
I was probably, about 14 years old, 15 years old. And that's when I started traveling around to go to a lot of tournaments. And, I realized, of course, it's fun to load your gun, put a shell in, and be able to break a target. And it's just really satisfying and cool. That's why we do it. We love it. It's just fun to go out and shoot and pull the trigger and realize you're the reason a target broke out there at 30, 40, 50 yards. But when I started to travel and go to these tournaments, I realized, man, this is so cool. And look at the doors it opens and the people you meet and the opportunities you get to be a part of. I was in Hungary last week shooting the World FITASC Championship. If it wasn't for clay target shooting, I probably wouldn't even been able to go to Hungary. And I wouldn't have been able to meet people
or wanted
anywhere,
to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's just so many things that I realized clay target shooting offers in the world. And it's just so fun to be able to go out. And I've met people from literally around the world. There's people who I talk to and have become friends with from so many different countries and so many different backgrounds. And it's opened opportunities for jobs in the future. And like I said, it's just really molded me into a great person to meet so many people and travel so many places. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be sitting at this table right now having an opportunity to talk to you, know you, if it wasn't for clay target shooting. And that's when I realized, and I got old enough and mature enough to really realize there's more to it than just the competing itself.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I love to compete, I love to win, I love to chase any opportunity I can to be the best at something. But you just take a step back and you realize it's really amazing the doors that clay target shooting open, the people you get to meet, and just the experiences and the opportunities that come from it. It's really amazing.
Good people.
Great people.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet a couple that really weren't.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 2019 World Championship in Chicago. How you finished there?
I shot pretty well throughout the week. I ended up shooting 178 out of 200 targets, and there were some really, really hard birds that week. So that was good enough to place me in the 4th position overall in the open category. I was just 16 years old, and as many of you know, the World English has a super final aspect where you have a 25 bird shoot off, and those birds get added to your final score. And I was placed 4th going into the shoot off. I was behind 2 gentlemen from Great Britain, one being Richard Folds and the other one being Ben Huswaite, and then a fellow American, Corey Cruz, who's a great guy who I really like a lot. He was sitting on 181. And after the shoot-off, I love the shoot-off aspect. I think that's what makes a super final so unique. It gives people an opportunity to watch and see people compete on big presentations. And I broke 23 targets out of 25. It was the high score in the super final, and as I was able to jump a couple spots and get the silver medal, just one behind Corey. And I mean, it was so amazing to have been able to compete at that high of a level at 16 years old. But at the same time, it was a bit of a knife in my gut because I realized, man, that's so cool. But I'm a firm believer that, if you're not first, you're last, or if you're second, you're the first loser. So I was like, well, I'm glad I was able to compete to this level, and it's really cool, especially at my age. But then I knew I was able to compete at a world level. So I was like, okay, no, let's just try to work hard and see if we can win that gold medal. I really want to be able to continue getting better and having something to chase and work for. And that's kind of what motivated me, is coming so close to winning a world championship. So those are the kind of things you kind of take experiences like that to try to make you better and push you harder and learn something from them and turn it into something positive. And it was great. And I feel like that experience, even though I didn't win in 2019, to come that close, it made me better in the long run. And I'm kind of experiencing something similar right now that I just went through again.
So I want to bring that up next, and that's the World FITASC 21 in Hungary, where you had basically you had it won. You go in into your last. I'll let you tell the story, but kind of go into that and how you ended up in the same spot in World FITASC.
That's right. So, the World FITASC Championship is just an amazing event that I can't even explain. It's something kind of to where I just tell people I can't even explain it. You just need to go see it for yourself in person. And you have people from around the globe that we all have in common. We just love to shoot. We love to compete. And it had been something that I've been really looking forward to. We got our opportunity taken away to go overseas in 2020 because of everything that happened with the coronavirus. So, I had a little fire in me, and I was just really excited to go over and have an opportunity to finally compete overseas. So when that opportunity came, I just did everything I could to prepare as hard as I could and, reach out to as many people who were experienced, who have competed in tournaments like this before, and just did everything I could to get ready. And that's exactly what I did. And we went overseas, and it was just a surreal experience to be able to go over to a country 6 hours in a different time change and realize that you're here now representing the United States of America. And that's what makes the World FITASC different than any other tournament here in the United States. I mean, here in the U.S., we want to do everything we can to compete as good as we can and represent ourselves, but there's more of a weight on your shoulders. You go overseas, and it's like, okay, I'm not just shooting for me. I'm shooting for the United States of America. And I firmly believe, me as an individual, that the United States is the greatest country on the face of the earth, and it's an honor and a privilege and a blessing to live here. So that's what I'm thinking of when I go over there and I compete. And anyway, with the help of a lot of people in my corner, supporting me, helping me, cheering me on, I was able to shoot very, very well over 4 days. And I shot 45 out of 50 the first day, which wasn't bad, but I realized, listen, it's just day one. This is a marathon. We got 4 days to go shoot. And I hung in there, and I continued to just do everything I could to break every single target, be present, live in the moment. And the second day I shot a 49 out of 50. The third day I shot a 48. So I don't check the scores. I really don't look and know where I'm positioned in an event. But after you shoot a 45, a 49, a 48, I've been, around enough tournaments to realize, okay, you must be in pretty good position to possibly win the world championship. So there was, some pressure that was coming on to me, and to withstand that pressure, especially at just the age of 18 years old. I'm still pretty young in a foreign country that I'd never been to before. I'm sure there was a lot of people wondering how I would, compete on the last day. And I just told myself, I'm going to do everything that got me here. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go out and focus on my job, be sunk into my routine, focus on my process, and just do what I need to do to break every target. And, you got to be present. You can't worry about how well you did the day before, the day before that. You can't worry about the possible outcome of, holy crap, I could win the world championship at 18 and be the youngest person to ever do that. And, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking to myself, let's go out and just be Joe. Be yourself. And that's what I did. And I had a really tough layout to start on the first day. You shoot 2 parkours a day, new style with 4 pegs. And I ran the first peg, which was really tough. And I got by the second, broke a really tough pair on my third. And I'm like, okay, we got 1 peg left to be halfway through. And I was fortunate enough to run it. So, okay, I've shot 25 straight out of the first 25. Now we have 25 left. I'm thinking, okay, we shot a 45, a 49, a 48. And now we're halfway through. And I haven't missed. So you have 1 parkour left, and I'm up first. I missed my very first single of the layout, which is unfortunate, but it was a very hard bird. One that I realized, okay, it's very missable. It's a tough shot. I'm not worried about it. Let's just keep moving. Don't let it hold you back. And that's what I did. I hit the rest on that peg, ran the second peg, ran the third peg, and I get up to the 4th peg, and I just did everything I could, and I set up a little far off. There's a trap hidden behind some trees, and I couldn't see it. And I set up a little far out. I was up first, so I didn't get to watch anybody else shoot. And I missed a very, very easy bird. It was a 2-shot single, just kind of flying over my left shoulder. And I missed it with 2 shots. One that should be a routine bird that I should be able to break no problem. I could break it in my sleep. It was something that I thought, man, I can't miss this even if I want to. And I didn't get complacent or anything. But I just happened to just miss. I just got caught up in the moment. I missed one, and I knew it would come back and get me. And I was fortunate enough to hit the rest on that peg, and I finished with a 23 out of 25, which was a 48 for the day. So I finished on 190, which was a great showing regardless, and a lot of people were there to congratulate me. But I knew this is the World Championship. There's going to be people on their best game from around the world, and you can't really make a lot of mistakes. You got to be on your A++ game and then have some breaks go your way. And I, missed a bird, and I knew it would come back and get to me, maybe in the long run, but I just tried to stay in the moment and realize, listen, you still did very well, and I'm proud of myself and proud of everything we did to get here. And anyway, by the end of the day, there's a gentleman who tied me from France, a very good shooter, a very well-respected shooter. And we went into the shoot-off, and out of 25 birds over 3 pegs, he bested me by 2. He beat me by 2 birds. And I'm not going to lie, I really do hold myself to a high standard, and I identify as a competitor that's there to win. And right then and there, it was just a knife in my gut when I knew it had been over and I lost the shoot-off, and I was going to be placed in second instead of first at the World Championship. Everything flashed in front of my eyes, and I realized, darn, this is really unfortunate. It really is, because it's a little disappointing to come this far and do this much and travel and practice hard and find yourself in the same situation that was the fire and the gas behind pushing you to get here once again, because I had already had a silver medal in 2019. But, once I got over it, I struggle to be rational with my thinking. And what I mean by that is you just really got to look at the situation at hand and realize, look, you're 18 years old in a completely different place you've never been to, and you're competing with the best in the world, and hopefully the future is bright. And I was thinking with my heart, which is something that I struggle with sometimes, and you got to think with your head and just realize, and it's okay. You're going to move on. And I know for myself, it's motivated me and made me even more hungry. If I had won that tournament, I probably just would have sat back and celebrated and been. I don't think I would have let it get to my head, because I'm a pretty humble person. I don't think I would have got cocky or anything, but I just wouldn't have been as hungry to improve and get better. I just would have been thinking, man, I just won the World Championship, which is awesome, and just been trying to soak it in forever. But I know I got back from Hungary, and we got home at about midnight, a little after that, 1 in the morning, back home in Florida. and I slept for about 5-6 hours, and I woke up and I grabbed my gun and I went out to shoot. And I hardly ever shoot right after a big tournament, but I just had a fire in me, and I was just so driven to go out and get better. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little upset with how things panned out, but I'm still proud of everything I did to get to that point because I knew I'd shot very well, and that's just my mindset going forward. I know that I'm young enough and I have all the tools that I need to compete at a high level, and so many good people supporting me. Everything is about the people and how good and nice they are to have helped me get the extra step, and that's my goal going forward. But I'm gonna keep working towards it, and my main goal in life, in this game or amongst these people, is my parents made very clear to me when I first started shooting at a young age, and that was, we don't care if you're a great shooter, you're an amazing shooter, you're a horrible shooter, just mediocre. At the end of the day, people get remembered more so about their character and being good sportsmen, and just being a gentleman. And that's my goal, is when people bring up Joe Fanizzi, I'm not so worried about them being like, man, that kid's a good shot, he's talented, he's won this and that. That doesn't define who you are as a person. What I'm more focused on in the long run is he's a good kid, he's a respectable kid, he's a helpful kid. And to me, that means much more than any title or anything else. And that's just my goal at the end of the day, for as long as I continue to shoot.
How has that bird, that last bird that you missed with both shots, have you thought about that bird over and over and over again?
I'd be lying to you if I hadn't stopped thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's all I thought about. It's all I've thought about. But I'm very blessed to have good mentors and people that have taken me under their wing, who have been there and done that, and they're experienced champions. And I'm not going to say any names, but I've been talking to a lot of people in our game that I have the utmost respect for. And a lot of them have been talking to me about it. And they have a good point. They're like, look, you got to realize you just can't let one target define you. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm doing right now. It's tough to get past it, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I still need to realize how well I did, and I need to have some forgiveness on myself. I'm very hard on myself in every aspect of life, and I feel like that's how you get better. But at the same time, what you need to do, and this is just for everybody, and it's something that I struggle with and I'm trying to get better on, but it's everybody as shooters or any aspect in life. Let's say you go out there and you shoot a 98 on a course one day. For some reason, most of us find ourselves talking about the 2 birds we missed. Out of 98 birds, or out of 100 birds, you shoot a 98, and all those people want to talk about, and even myself, I missed this bird, I missed that bird, I missed these 2, and you got to start learning to have a positive mindset, an optimistic mindset. When you start replaying in your mind all the good things that you did, all the things you're doing right, 98 out of 100, focus on the 98 that you broke. And when you start doing that and you start having a mindset and focusing on the good things you did, you continue to make a habit of doing them over and over again. And that's what's going to make you a good shooter or a good whatever businessman or whatever aspect or whatever thing you're partaking in life. It's going to make you better. And it's hard, and it's something I still need to work on. But yes, I have been thinking about that bird a lot, because I know I could have broken. I didn't miss it on purpose, don't get me wrong. I did not miss it on purpose. I gave it everything I had, but I know I was capable of breaking it. And I shot good enough to be able to win the World Championship. There's no question about it. But you slip up, and like I said, there's not much room for error. Describe
that bird.
It was 110 millimeters, and it was showing dome coming from the left, a little over my head. It was probably like 20 feet in the air, 30 feet in the air, nothing crazy. And it was just medium speed, looping over, probably about a 90-degree crosser, something that I might have been able to hit with a slingshot. Not a hard bird. And that's what hurts about that one is, I was upset going into the shoot-off because I shouldn't even have let the shoot-off happen. Right. If I had broke that one, I would have sealed the deal right there. But it's not, and you just can't dwell on the past. And like I said, it's been on my mind, but I'm going to move on from it. I'm going to maybe use that one target to help me become a better shooter in the future. And I'm not going to even want to talk about it too much even more, because it still hurts, but I know that in the long run, it's going to make me better and more hungry and continue to work, because one day I have a feeling that I'll have a great opportunity to listen to our national anthem standing in the top middle step of that podium one day. And there's going to be no greater feeling.
The ability to compete at a high level when being forced out of your comfort zone. What is the difference between confidence and self-awareness?
So a lot of people like the term confidence, and I think confidence is a great term. But with confidence can fluctuate. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I got really good confidence right now. The gun's flowing good. I'm moving it smoothly. I'm letting the shot go off aggressively, and I'm seeing them good. I'm feeling really confident right now in my game." The problem is sometimes people start missing, and then it's like, "Oh, my confidence isn't too good right now. I'm not feeling good. It's just not there. Things don't feel right." I like to use the term self-awareness because when you're self-aware, you tell yourself, so here's how I use self-awareness in my position going into this tournament. All right, you need to be aware of what you've done and how you've trained and how you've prepared. And what I mean by that is confidence and self-awareness, right? Self-awareness is your ability to realize your capabilities and being able to trust that you have all the tools necessary to win and know you've prepared and have the equipment and all it takes to succeed. So yeah, I'm in a foreign country that I've never been to before. Hearing all kind of languages barking around me that sound, like gibberish.
Right.
And there's, things I've never seen before and obstacles in my way that could be a hindrance to me competing at a high level. And sometimes that's enough to hold people back. But I just knew, look, I have trained as much as I can up to this point. I have mentally prepared. I've hydrated. I've gotten the nutrition I need. I've been able to get good rest. And this is the same gun I practice with. These are the same type of shells. And you just got to be aware that you have everything you need to go out and succeed. And, just you have to tell yourself, you have to be aware of who you are as a shooter and who you are as a person and go out there and just be yourself. So don't let the circumstance or the atmosphere change who you are as a competitor. You just have to be yourself anywhere you go. And, people make shooting more complicated than it really does need to be. But you just need to go out there and focus on your approach, your setup, how to break the target, and how to manage your mind. And, people talk about pressure. I think, people are like, how do you take pressure away? You never really can. You just have to grasp it and embrace it and almost use it to your advantage.
Speaking of being confident in what you're doing and self-aware, we were talking earlier and you said that, and I didn't know this, FITASC has a rule that you have 15 seconds by the time you fire your shot to be ready for the next shot.
That's right.
All right. And they're strict on that over there.
They do really enforce the rules. There's no question, especially at the World Championship.
So everybody knows you take forever, and that's fine. You've got a routine that you go through, and
I'm methodical,
and it works. Okay, but you had to change your routine. How did you do that?
Just a little bit. So I just wanted to eliminate anything that could possibly hold me back or jam my mind up from being able to compete at a high level. So nobody likes to get warned. Nobody likes to get calls. So I told myself I'm going to do everything I can to just give myself a little more cushion on time. So what I did is I analyzed my routine, and I got with a gentleman that lives down in Florida who's a FITASC ref. I'll say his name. His name's Ed Seisiger, and he's a really nice guy. People know him. He's the guy that always wears the bright, all kind of crazy colors and all that. And I told him, I was like, Mr. Ed, I said, I want you to help me a little bit here. I said, you're a FITASC ref. I want you to watch me and time me, and we're going to analyze my routine that I do, and we're going to use and keep what I need and what I have to compete, and then we're going to just shave off and eliminate the extra things that I can still shoot without, and that'll just help our time. And it'll get me down from, right at 14 or 15 seconds, maybe even 16, down to like 10 or 11, and that's just what I did. A lot of people know me for flipping my gun over and looking at the bottom of the receiver, and touching my hat, touching my glasses. So I just had to analyze everything that I did, and then I would cut off the things that I don't need. So I stopped flipping my gun when I went over there, and I practiced this because that's an extra second or two that I didn't need. I would only touch my hat and my glasses once instead of 3 times. You know what I mean? And when I point with my finger, I normally do that 2 or 3 times. I would only do it once. So I'm still doing all the same things, but I'm just shaving it down. It's just, that's, there's a saying, and I think I've said this before to you, is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So you have to do everything you can ahead of time and be open to as much information and resources and not be hard-headed to set yourself up for as much success as possible going into an event. And I knew, and I analyzed ahead of time, and I did everything I could, and I researched, and I asked. Look, you got to be open to ask your elders and people who are more experienced than you. And I made a lot of phone calls, and there's a lot of helpful people. And this is going back to the very beginning of this podcast episode where I'm talking about being blessed to have been surrounded by so many people that care about me and support me and want what's best for me, and they don't want anything in return. They're just doing it because they care a lot about me, and they love me, and they want to see me do well. And I appreciate that. And I'm still let down I didn't win this title, because I feel like by winning it and bringing it back home, that would have been my way of repaying them. But if you're out there, you know who you are. You're listening. I'm gonna do it one day, and I promise I'm gonna do everything I can.
Yeah, but nobody thinks that.
I know. I know I didn't really truly disappoint people, but
you disappointed yourself, and that's
I know I'm capable of being able to do a little better. But that's going back to what I was saying. You just got to do everything you can to prepare and go out and reach out for help, and to improve yourself. And that's what I did. And I recommend a lot of people to do that. And just be a sponge, soak up information, keep your ears open, do as much as you can. That's how you get better. That's how you learn.
My 8-year-old, I've told you this, he loves watching you on YouTube. And I think he's probably analyzed your pre-shot routine just as much as you have, believe it or not. He told me that he said, Dad, he's looking at his shells before he puts them in the gun. Do you do that?
I do. It's just sometimes I can't even tell you why I do things, Justin, but I just do it, and I do it every time. Is I look at my shells, and I keep 7.5 shot in my right pocket and 8 on my left, and
you're making
really
sure
particular when it comes to certain things. So I look at it and I want to make sure, okay, I'm looking at this shell and it's listed as an 8, and I know I'm about to shoot an 8 at this target flying left to right at however far. But then the next shot I'm going to put in a 7.5 because it's further and it's got less spin on it. So I just want to make sure, and I'm looking at them in there. So it's kind of weird that I'm going to flip my gun over and try to realize if I just loaded my gun when I loaded it 10 seconds prior. You know what I mean? But I do look at the shells and I read the label on them.
Going overseas to shoot at Hungary or wherever you may go to shoot a world championship or whatever you enter, how do you get comfortable doing that? How do you think well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how can someone be comfortable in an area that they've never been?
I will say, I think there's definitely different ways to do it, but at least in my situation, I was very blessed. So my grandma, my mom's mom, is from Italy. She's born and raised.
Okay.
And she loves going back to Europe to go on trips and visit and go back to that country and wherever it may be. So I was very blessed in my younger years to have been able to go on summer vacations pretty frequently and been lucky enough to go see awesome places like Italy, like Spain, like France, like Croatia and Greece. And, every couple of summers we'd be able to go on these awesome trips. But I was familiarizing myself with going and traveling and the long plane flight and the time change. And I feel like those years building up weren't just fun vacations to go see cool tourist attractions. At the same time, it could have been preparing me to just get comfortable with making that trip. Because a lot of people go over to a new place for the first time, and it's enough to just take them out of their game because they can't get settled in and get comfortable. But I know even my first time shooting internationally, which was in 2019 in Great Britain when we went to England, I was fine. I was comfortable, and I was able to shoot pretty well at that World FITASC there, and I was able to place 7th overall and win my first junior gold medal ever at a world event. But I was comfortable the whole time because I knew what it would be like traveling to a foreign place, and I was just comfortable with that. And I feel like years of that was great preparation and help with me just being able to familiarize and get settled in and be comfortable. And when we went over to Hungary a couple weeks ago, we got there about a week before the shooting started, and got used to the time change within a night or two, and I just felt comfortable. I was at no point, felt like a fish out of water. I just got settled in and realized we're here for a job, but you can't let the circumstance take you out of your game. You just got to be able to establish who you are, realize it's yourself. And even people talk about the time change and things like that. When I went out to shoot my last day of the main event, it was 8:30 in the morning in Hungary. It was 2:30 back home here. You might have not even gone to bed yet that night, or maybe you did. You might have been asleep, but 2:30 in the morning back home here in the United States on the East Coast like I'm used to, it was just 8:30, and I was just going along shooting, and everything was fine. So definitely opportunities to be able to travel internationally, even if you aren't shooting, is a great opportunity to just get comfortable with it. And if you're not, there's definitely things you can do ahead of time to prepare. But people don't like surprises, and surprises are enough to kind of take you out of your comfort zone and will hold you back like an anchor from competing at a high level that you're usually used to. And you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. Definitely do everything you can ahead of time to just eliminate surprises and avoid the things that will be a hindrance to you.
It sounds like you were getting prepared, not knowing that you needed to be prepared.
That's
back when you were younger.
Absolutely. I really didn't think anything of it, but now looking back, it definitely could have helped in a large way for sure.
What is the difference in shooting overseas, shooting here, the difference in the people, the difference in the process, the difference in everything? How is the shoot run? Tell me all that, how that works.
So as far as the shoot being ran, they have, what they call the village area. And the village area is where all the tents are. It's where all the sponsors are. It's the heartbeat of the event. And the opening ceremonies are a really cool experience. But, being able to interact with people across the world, there's a value and a weight to how cool that is and how neat that is. And just realize we just all love this game. And that's why people are coming from countries like Mexico and Brazil and Germany and Norway and everywhere in the world to come to compete in this event. And it's really cool being able to see them. And there's a lot of sign language going on. There's a lot of pointing and this and that because people don't speak the same language, but it's still just such a cool experience. And that's what sets this tournament apart from every single other one I've ever been a part of in my life. And that's why I love it. I count the days down, and I can't wait for Italy in 2022. But what's cool is, the grounds are very spread out. Here in the United States, a lot of things are pretty centralized, and you could just get there in a short golf cart ride. What they do at the village area is you jump into a shuttle or a bus with your bag and your gun. You pretty much have to walk everywhere, and they might shuttle you off. It might take you 20 minutes. It might take you only 15 or 10, but you got to ride these shuttles and buses to the parkour, and they dump you off, and then you start walking from peg to peg, and it's 4 pegs of new style. So you shoot 1 peg, then you load your stuff up, and you might have a 75-yard walk. Some are even more. And then you get to that peg and you shoot it, and then you got to walk again to the next one. And what was really, really cool about this tournament, and this goes to my testament on it's so cool about clay shooting, because you literally get to meet people and make relationships from people around the world. And there might be some people listening right now that were some of these people I'm about to bring up and mention. But I am not kidding you, where I would be walking from one peg to another peg, and someone would come up. They would confront me. They would say, "Joe, how are you? Do you mind if I get a picture with you?" And I thought, this is so cool. I'm like, man, why the heck does this guy want a picture with me? But no problem. So I would kind of engage with them for a little bit. What's your name? Where are you from? And they would say their name, and I would get answers like, "I'm from Poland. I'm from Russia. I'm from South Africa. I'm from Brazil or Venezuela or Colombia." And I'm thinking, holy smokes, this is awesome. They're like, "Oh, I've seen videos of you on YouTube," or the most recognizable one out of all the people was, "I've heard you on Justin Barker's podcast." And I think that
really?
I swear, your name got brought up.
Well, that's good.
Celebrity status.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, but I'm not kidding. And that just is kind of a testament to what you've done with this sport alone, or within the game of clay target shooting, is you have been able to use resources and technology to be able to spread it around the world. And I'm telling you, there's people coming up to me from different countries across the world asking for a picture, saying they recognize me because of this podcast, because of Shotgun Sports USA podcast. And I think that's the neatest thing ever. And that's just in a way of me saying thank you for helping our sport grow. Because at the end of the day, you can have any achievement or any accomplishment you want. It's a tangible goal you can attain, like winning titles or placing in an event or glory chasing for this and that, building resumes. But at the end of the day, the biggest goals and the biggest achievements are the moral ones, and giving back to the sport that we all love so much.
Yeah.
And in a way, you've been giving back to clay target shooting by being able to spread the sport. And how many different countries is your podcast listening to?
It's in the 90s. I don't know
90 countries across the globe. And if there's people on the other side of the world listening right now, to me, I want to be your friend. I want to meet you. Reach out to me.
Send him a
Reach
friend
out
request.
to me. Say hi. If I ever see you at a tournament or a world event, come up and say hello. I love it, and that was the coolest thing and the neatest thing is there's more to clay target shooting than the shooting itself and the competition. You can engage with and meet people from all around the world that are just like you.
That's right.
And they love what you love, and you can relate to somebody and compare with them. And there's people that I met this week that I hope to be some sort of friends and in connection with for the rest of my life. And I don't know if it would have been able to happen without you or this podcast.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say
Absolutely.
that. Transitioning to the next step of your life, you're moving into college.
That's right.
How do you plan on approaching that situation? And I mean, there's several aspects to this. So how do you plan on doing that? You're going to school in Texas.
That's right. I am. And so for some of the people who are listening that don't know, I have been living and I grew up in Florida my whole entire life. Small town called Okeechobee, south central part of the state, closer to the East Coast. And I've lived there in Florida my whole life. And I have loved every single second, every day, every year. I really, really enjoy living in Florida. I had the best friends, the best people, the best memories, the best experiences, the best everything. I really do love Florida, and I will always identify as a Floridian for the rest of my life. But I personally feel that in life, it's really important to kind of push yourself outside of your comfort zone and try new things. I knew from a young age, I'm still young, but when I was probably 8th grade, 9th grade, I was telling myself, I don't know where I want to go, but I want to have to handle some sort of adversity one day. I think for personal growth reasons and maturity reasons, it's good to kind of try something new and meet new people and learn new things. So I started kind of analyzing and looking at different places across the country of where I wanted to go. And I just have always loved the state of Texas, the great state of Texas. I love it. And I always figured that there'd be a good possibility that I could live there one day. So I started going around. My mom and I, we went on a college tour back in 2018. And Texas A&M University in College Station was one of the schools that I just absolutely fell in love with. As soon as I stepped foot on campus, I was like, man, I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah.
And I just loved the people. I love the traditions. I love the network. I love everything it offered. And in particular, one of the main reasons I ended up choosing this school out of all the places I could have gone for college is the opportunity in that area. The location is great. It's in East Texas, about an hour and a half or so north of Houston. And, I'm not just a clay target shooter. I try to be as well-rounded as possible, and I think that's really important in life. And, I have my priorities in line. I have faith, God, and you have family, and then I take school very serious. And, I want to get a degree one day and get a job and, have that part of my life, and it's very important to me. And I figured, okay, I can do this if I go to Texas and I go to college, and I wanted to do all that. But at the end of the day, I still do love shooting. I don't want to lose shooting forever, and I don't want to regress in any way. And Texas was a great place to give me the chance to be able to pursue a college degree and still be able to practice. There's a lot of really good clubs in that area, and I'm blessed to know a lot of good people that I know will have my back, and a lot of really good close friends that live in that area. They're just great people, and I'm really looking forward to the next chapter of my life and starting fresh out there. And like I said, I will always love Florida. My heart will always be there, but I'm really excited about what's to come way here in about a month. And like I said, I'll be able to shoot out there. There's great places to shoot. I don't mind hunting and fishing at all, so I'll definitely be doing some of that. But Texas A&M University would just seem to be like the fit for me from the start. And I had some great friends that are just a couple years older than me that I really look at as mentors more than that. They were a large part of the reason I also decided to choose going there. And a lot of people are gonna, I don't know if they think this or not. And honestly, if they think it doesn't bother me at all, because I know I'm not going to let it happen. But a lot of people are going to say, oh, now he doesn't have a club in his backyard, he's probably going to have a downfall. He's not going to be able to shoot or practice all the time, and that's the only thing that makes him a high-level competitor is he just gets to shoot all day, which isn't true at all. I understand that it's going to be a little tougher. There's not going to be a club within a golf cart ride to my house. I'm going to have to make sacrifices and take days off and drive a pretty good ways to go get some training in. And I realize it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But if I didn't want that challenge, I wouldn't have moved to Texas. And I can't wait to take it by the horns and, just undergo change. And that's what I want. I think change is good. And what I love about shooting too is I'm still going to go to tournaments and I'm going to see all the same familiar faces, whether I go to a Western regional in the western part of the U.S. or up in the Northeast or down south or the nationals there in Texas. I'm going to see a lot of the great people and that I'm used to seeing all the time. And I'm excited about moving. And with shooting, that was a big part of why I chose there. And I'm also going to be able to shoot on the Texas A&M trap and skeet team, and that's something else that I'm really, really, really excited about. And being able to represent a university that I was willing to choose over many others to be able to go and shoot for their program as a club team and compete for a Division I national championship. What better way to wake up in the mornings as a college kid to have that opportunity? And I can't wait for that.
Now, what do you plan on doing, like going to school for?
Yes, so my degree is going to be construction science, and it's going to be in the College of Architecture. And I actually did an internship a couple weeks ago, right before I left for Hungary, with a commercial concrete company. It was, in construction, and that's the field that I want to go in one day. I feel like it's a growing industry, and all the aspects that go in behind it that you need to be successful for are ones that I think I possess. And you have to work with people. And when I was in the field and in the office these last couple weeks doing this internship, I really saw this firsthand, and I loved every second of it, and I can't wait. And in the construction industry, you got to be able to learn how to work with people. You got to communicate. You also got to work hard and get your hands dirty. And there's a lot of things that go into working with the team. And I just love that aspect, and I think that's something I get from my parents. They're really good at that, and they've kind of helped me, have those aspects in life. But just everything that goes in behind it, deadlines and trying to get things done in time, and there's a little bit of stress and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think that stuff is just so exciting, and I love it, and I hope to be able to go into that field of construction one day, and to be able to take that on as a profession, and still be able to compete. Will I be able to go to every single tournament across the country? Probably not, but I still plan on being able to practice and keep my game at a high level, and also continue to go to these tournaments and to be able to shoot with having a job. And some people might say that it's easier said than done, but I promise you, I love shooting so much that you will be seeing my face for a long time. And I think it's really important, and something that I've been able to master pretty good at here recently is being able to compartmentalize. What I mean by that is, you can have many different modes. You can be a work guy. You can be a friend guy when you're with your buddies, and then you can also be a competitor and a shooter. So being well-rounded is something that I think is very important, especially at a kid's age like myself, and it carries over in life. But you got to try to be as good as you can in every single one of those things, because they're all complementary of each other.
Yeah.
If you work hard in my field, what I plan on doing in the construction industry, and I work hard in there, I know it's going to carry over to being able to shoot clays. And if I try to hold myself at a high standard and training hard and practicing hard to shoot with clays, I know that's going to help with family life and things like that. So I'm really excited for the future and what things have to hold. I mean, I know I'm going to be going under change, and I know I'm going to be going under new things. And, being 18 years old, living by myself in a completely different new state, a lot of people would be scared and be like a fish out of water. But I'm just itching to get there, and I live for that kind of stuff. That's what gets me going. So I can't wait.
Listen, I know you have things to do. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and just talking about things and letting people see how you have gotten to this point.
It's a whole timeline, a whole process. Everybody's like that.
By different things in your life.
That's right.
This podcast is about shooting, and that's what you're here for.
That's right.
But there was also things that made you who you are that didn't have a shotgun involved with it.
Correct. Absolutely. There's no question about it.
So I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with me, and of course, I want you to win. I hope you win the next one. And the next one after that.
I can't promise or guarantee anything, but like I said, I'm going to make as much of an effort as I can to compete at a high level and do as much as I can to mainly just be recognized and remembered as a good person, and that's my main goal.
All right, one more thing before we get off. I have, and Joe probably don't want me saying this, but we'll say it anyway, but I have been pronouncing his name wrong. And everybody else in the whole shooting community has been pronouncing his name wrong ever since we've known him. Am I right, Joe?
This is a true statement. It really is. A lot of people
So
won't
his
know
last name is not Fanizzi, which he still wants us to call him Fanizzi, okay? because everybody knows it as Fanizzi. But you say it
Fanizzi.
Fanizzi.
So I'm very Italian. I have Italian blood on both sides of my family. And for Italian words, when you have two Z's together, it's really pronounced as a T. And think about it. When you're talking about the food pizza, do you say pizza?
Yes.
You say pizza because it's two Z's, right?
I say it either way.
Well, I say pizza. So that's a good example. And anytime you see an Italian last name and you see two Z's together, you really pronounce it as like a T and a C, or but it's really Fanizzi.
Fanizzi.
Fanizzi. That's my last name.
Joseph Fanizzi. I bet
But everybody goes with Fanizzi, and we can just continue going with that.
Yeah.
Joe
I think
Fanizzi.
you even call yourself Joe Fanizzi.
I do.
Yeah.
But properly, it really is supposed to be Fanizzi by the book.
Well, that's interesting.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Justin.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for giving me a chance. Love what you're doing, and I hope it continues to go in the path it is, because the future is very bright for all of us. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it, Mr. Justin.
All right, man.